Hey there, greetings everybody, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So here we are. I decided to do this one-off episode. I haven't done one of these for a while, but I've actually had this one on my list of ones to do for some time, but because I'm busy with work and my baseball and the other videos that are actually organized to be done, I hadn't gotten around to this, but it's a Saturday and I don't have any videos planned for today. I decided that I would do this one. So this episode is an episode of What's the Difference. For some of you, you may have seen some of these. I did one with Caress of Steel and 2112. I think I've done one for Yes too, but I can't remember really what it was. I might even have done one for Genesis. I can't remember. Anyways, the one we're doing today is going to be for Pink Floyd. So of course you all know what's going to be coming here. So we have two albums that I wanted to discuss what's the difference, and these are the two. Pink Floyd's The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon. Okay, so many consider these, and I rightly have to say that I can't really disagree. I'm not as big a fan of one of them as I am of the other one. However, I get the point. I get the popularity of these two albums and why people consider them to be among the very best rock albums and progressive rock albums of all time. Some people will say The Wall isn't that progressive, but I don't know what they're talking about. I can't see how you could be more progressive than that. Anyways, so we're going to talk about these two albums. You know, I generally start off by talking about what makes them the same. Like, why did I choose these two to compare? What do they have in common first, and then talk about what is the difference between them. Okay, so we'll start off with Dark Side of the Moon, because it's the one I'm I'm much more familiar with this album, and also because it's chronological. I tend to be chronological in my order of things. So these two albums came out. They both came out fairly close to each other, like 7 or 8 years apart. The Wall, there was like two albums between in the middle. Wish You Were Here and Animals, I think, came out. Sorry, somebody's decided to bang out the garbage bin next door. Nice. Anyways, so they had, like, there was two albums that came in between, and actually Animals is probably my favorite Pink Floyd album. But when you think about it, Dark Side of the Moon, Animals, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall, very few bands have had a run of 4 albums like that in history, you know. But anyways, so what's the same about these two albums? So The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon were both monster hits when they came out. Both top chart toppers. Dark Side of the Moon was on the Billboard top albums of all time for years and years. The Wall was a monster hit in 1979, maybe the biggest album of that year or any year for a while. So So those are some of the similarities. Also, this one is, or both of these actually had a huge sales, and gigantic sales, both of them. Both of them had great tours for them. Yeah, so there's lots of things in common for these two albums. But now we're going to get into a little bit of what's different. So this album is a single album with, I think it's 10 absolutely extraordinary tracks. This was the group at its height, I think, as far as creativity goes, and everybody was firing on all cylinders on this album. Some of the build up to this album was incredible. It sold, I think it's, if I'm wrong, you can tell me, but I think this album has sold 40 million copies now in its history. This is the album that got me into Pink Floyd in a big way. I've become a huge Floyd family now, and this one's the one that started it out. Just became a masterpiece album for me recently. Yeah, I know I'm a little slow, but that's fine. And just has so many of the elements that I've come to associate with the sound that is Pink Floyd. This album, this is a totally different story for me. So this was the first Pink Floyd album I'd ever heard. It's a double album, so that makes it different in that way. This is a concept album as well. This is a story. This is also pretty much written and arranged, and the story by Roger Waters. So some people have gone as far to say this is a Roger Waters solo album. I don't buy that. It definitely dominated by him, but I mean, you know, you listen to the guitar on this is definitely all David Gilmour. He wasn't going to get that anywhere else. He might find somebody who could imitate that, but not the creativity part. The other thing about this album is because it's a concept album, it's a story that Roger Waters is told. I'm guessing it was about his childhood. I don't follow Roger Waters that much, so I will digress to those who know better than me. So my reaction to this album is very different than my reaction was to this album. When I discovered this album in the 2020s, in the early part of this century, I found it at a yard sale, and at that point I had not listened to Pink Floyd for a very long time because I associated Pink Floyd's album or their music with this album, and I didn't like this album. I don't like anything about it. I thought it was overrated. I thought it was overblown. I didn't think much of the songs. I thought the instrumentation was kind of simplistic. A lot of things, but you know, I was young too, so this album came out in '79. I was 15 at the time. Wasn't in a position to appreciate this type of music at the time. When I fast forward to when I got Dark Side of the Moon, because I had dismissed Floyd, and the way I was is once I dismiss a band, I wouldn't listen to anything from them. Yeah. It's amazing I survived my childhood. Anyways, I discovered this album. This set me on a whole new, different path. So, after some time of listening to this, and then Animals, and Wish You Were Here, and started listening to more Floyd as time went on, I revisited this album. And I discovered that it's actually not as bad as I originally said it was in my head. And I think part of it was that I can't get an angle. The album is just so white that it's just not getting the reflection. I think part of the thing is I was kind of anti-establishment, and when I was in my late teens, mid-teens. So anything that was popular, I was against. Anything that people thought was great, I was against. Basically, I was against. That was the optimum word. So part of the problem with this album for me back then was that I was against it because everybody was for it. But I bought this album last summer, and I've had chances to revisit it a couple times, and I have to say it's a better album than I ever gave it credit for, and it's not in here. I didn't put it in properly, so now it's in the right way, I hope. Yeah, so anyways, I just never, what the hell is going on with this thing? Okay, yeah, so that's supposed to be over here, sorry. My apologies for digressing. So, yeah, so it has grown with me over time. It's now past that point where at one time I didn't like it at all, and now I like it. So that's a big change. Maybe someday I'll grow to love it. I don't know. I'm not a huge Roger Waters fan. But I do like the album now. There's a few tracks on here I like quite a bit. So these are the two big Pink Floyd albums as far as popularity go. Many people think this is the greatest rock album of all time. Many think this one is. I think more think this one is than think this one is, but it's still very well noteworthy. I'm never going to get it. It's just too bright of an album cover. Anyways, the The other thing about this album is that the songs are all kind of tied together, as you get with Dark Side of the Moon, but maybe not as much, because it's maybe not as much of a story as this one is. I'm not sure. But both of them are excellent albums. This one I find there's lots of noises and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit more simplistic than Dark Side of the Moon is a lot more complex. But it's just funny how one of the albums is a dark color with a dark feel to it, or supposed to be a dark feel to it, but yet enlightens. And the other one is all light colored and supposed to be a light feeling, but has more of a dark element based on the story, right? Yeah, so both fantastic albums, and for their own right. I highly recommend that you, if you haven't gotten into Floyd and you're wondering if you should or not, I think you should give them both a try. These are their masterpieces. They might be a little bit harder to, what's the word? Might be a little harder to penetrate. Might be easier to start with something maybe a little simpler, but it's Floyd, so I don't know where you're going to start there. I mean, to be honest with you, The Wall is probably, musically, I think it's fairly simple, straightforward. But of course the story is complex, whereas Dark Side of the Moon is much more musically complex, but I don't know that the story is as easy to digest either. So anyways, that's my take on Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall from Pink Floyd. The Wall was kind of, they hit the wall, basically. That was the kind of the end for that classic Floyd era. Some people would say it ended with Final Cut. To me, Final Cut is just a slice of The Wall that didn't quite make The Wall, so then they made its own album out of it. And I didn't really like The Wall, so I can't imagine I would like Final Cut. The Final Cut is one of the 2 or 3 Pink Floyd albums I don't own. But yeah, for me, if I was entering into Pink Floyd again, I would have gone through Dark Side of the Moon first. The stuff that came prior to Dark Side of the Moon is a little bit harder to penetrate. I'm not a huge fan of metal. I do like Atom Heart Mother quite a bit, but I think you need to develop your Floyd sense before you can really listen to that album. And I do like Saucer Full of Secrets. Both of them are excellent albums. So anyways, give these albums a try. Got nothing to lose, right? And that's my take on Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall. So if you have any comments about either album, please put them in the comment section below. I by no means am saying that these are the definitive stories on these 2 albums. These are just my own perception and my own history with the albums. So if you have a different history and a different perception, please put that below in the comment section. Some people are more learned when it comes to digesting albums than others. So if you have any comments, like I said, put it in the comment section. Please like and please subscribe. It's much appreciated. The more likes I get, the more I know that this is the route I should go more. If I don't get very many likes, then it seems to me that nobody liked it, so there's no point in doing more of that. Try something different. So please have yourself a good day and enjoy the video, and we will see you next time. Take care and goodbye.